Merry Meet Annie here. This video is about Imbolc. Imbolc at midwinter is a time of individuation. It's the time when things start becoming what they are uniquely. Now for those of us who live the wheel, it's not accidental, because we have spent the dark time thinking and studying and releasing what needed to be in the past, and then feeling and sometimes seeing the warmth or the light of what is rising within us. We have been becoming. So Imbolc is here. It is a time of the year to celebrate beginnings. That which moves in earth, in plants, in animals, in the energy of the world. This rising up and becoming. One of the powerful aspects of pagan spirituality is being able to understand the unique beauty that we each hold. No one else is like us. And in fact, as we revisit each turning of the wheel, we are not even the same from moment to moment or year to year. We are always becoming. But we're pausing in the spirit of Imbolc to honor our glorious selves. One of the things that I love so much about being a pagan is being able to be gloriously selfish, to live a life of desire, not just for what we need, but for what we want. We're taught, if we follow the reed, as I do, anything we desire, as long as it is not to the cost of harm to another, to gain it. If we want to celebrate the pure deliciousness of who we are, what we desire, what we want, there is freedom in this season of Imbolc, which is immense. We may have had experiences in community, in family, where we get the feeling we're supposed to be living for others. We meet the expectations of others, we meet the needs of others, we think about what we do in terms of how it fits in with others and community around us. One of the glories of Imbolc is it is all about you. It's all about me. It is about each of us individually. It's about celebrating who we are, knowing that, even encompassing all the things about us which are less than perfect, we're it. We're the only one of us. We are powerfully and perfectly unique. One of the mysteries of modern pagan spirituality is that moment that we just can understand how beautiful and complete and whole we are within ourselves. At the same time, we know in the immensity of existence that greatness disappears into the whole. What an interesting combination that is. The glory in this perfect, unique being that we are, but at the same time realizing how vast it is when we open ourselves up to and blend in with all of existence. But Imbolc is about acknowledging the power of self. It can be quite a challenge to divine yourself. I said divine yourself. I love that, because we are indeed divine at that level, but define ourselves in relation to no other person. Imbolc to me is about exploring what you are, what your complete wholeness is, separate from your relation to others. There's a time in the turning of the year that will be upon us before too many months when it is about ourselves in relation to others and to community and to rising to our own level of sovereignty. But the glory of Imbolc is, it's all about you, that perfect you. You know, there's kind of a gap when we study the gods and the goddesses and the stories that take us through the wheel of the year. It kind of ends in Yule, don't you think? It comes back again in Ostara. There's kind of a limbo where there's not a lot of stories about what the gods are up to. We can't turn to them with very specific examples of human interaction and growth that they seem to provide us so evenly the rest of the year. I remember discussing this as a baby pagan, and it's like, okay, what are they doing at this time of the year? We get some sense that The goddess is a virgin, that she is young, that she is free-spirited, that she is whole unto herself, but we don't have a lot of stories to go along with that. And we have a sense of the god as the Lord of the Greenwood, very identified with the animal and plant life and being free. But they both, in a sense, feel like they're out there somewhere in this period from Yule to Ostara. Now, we can look at that we feel a bit, well, they're just not part of the mythology and the teachings of this time of year, and we sometimes in desperation will search for stories about gods and goddesses that fit into this time of the year, that work for us, or can feel rather awkward to us too. I remember a conversation late into a night one night about this feeling of where were the gods at Imbolc? And the answer was, they're going about the business of being themselves. She's virgin and completely whole upon herself at this time of the year. The lesson she teaches us is that we are each, at our best, whole and complete within ourselves. We are not looking outwards to complete us. We will make that offering of ourselves in the turning of the wheel, but it comes from that place of being whole within ourselves first, of knowing our personal power, knowing who we are, with all of our blemishes, but acknowledging everything that we are. She's not terribly visible to us. She teaches that, in a way, by example. She's off doing what she needs to do. And the same can be said for the god at this turning of the year. Not a lot of mythologies to support Imbolc, because, you might say, he is off attending to himself. He is so pure to his nature and who he is right now that he is not he in relation to anything else. He is being purely of his nature. They are both in their own place of perfection and beauty as individuals at this time of the year. So perhaps they do teach us by their, in a way, absence, that they, as we, have a need, perhaps even a responsibility, to be complete and whole within ourselves. What we become will rise out of that. But this season of Imbolc, it's about being inward in the sense of being self-contained, and the power and the beauty of knowing how perfect we each are individually. I watched a video recently about the old concept of the arcane, or the arcanum, which is the profound secret, the deep knowing, my words to that. And indeed it was part of old school teachings that I grew up on, that each of us was responsible in our spiritual search to find that place that was so purely and perfectly us. Because only in that place would we really touch on the mystery of existence, of life, of what life is, what the energy and feel and spirit of life is. It could be called the elixir of the soul, in keeping with the idea that when we are each so aware of ourselves, what is within this shell of who we are, within this spirit and energy of who we are, when we are in that deep place, what we discover there, when we see another also in touch with that place in them, we are almost more intimately connected than words can describe. Because it is not whether we have the exact same practices. We may be practicing very, very differently, formally, informally, different traditions, different paths, but this feeling of knowing, this flame that burns inside me, that is only Annie's flame, when your flame is burning in you and you acknowledge it, something happens that we recognize in each other. There's something we're connected to. It comes back to that beautiful, beautiful mystery that this knowing of this intimate power opens us up to something which is so beyond us and so not intimate, so wide and vast. I am glorying this year in the aspect of Imbolc, which is about individuation, honoring my perfect self. And in doing that, I can't help but be at the place where I realize that everyone that I come in contact with is perfectly their selves. And when we know that about ourselves individually, it's a strong thread that connects us all. It is that moment in ritual we talk about when we come together, we're more than we can ever be apart, that the sum of our parts is just greater than, but it's knowing that uniqueness, that power, the individuality which is each of us. So I'm going to add this to my collection of videos on Imbolc, honoring how beautiful and perfect each of you are as who you are. And suggest in the season of Imbolc, as we talk about birth and rising and becoming, as we see it in the world around us, and we honor it in the stories of our gods and our goddesses and the wheel of the year, that we are each becoming. But the place of becoming is so personal and intimate and internal. It is the place where we are whole unto ourselves. I just went and grabbed something I wrote a long time ago, but it's still in my journal for Imbolc. There is a brief moment in the first stirring of life, of seed and womb, when there is at once a commonality with all that exists and a separation which becomes our individuality. It is why no leaf is as another, no animal a duplicate, and no person identical, nor even one person the same from year to year. This is the moment when we begin again to become ourself. We are becoming ourself. This becoming is the power of self-knowledge. We hold the season of winter in us. We're not leaving winter. Winter lives on inside of us all the time, that place of quietness that we can go to reflect and be and grow from. Winter lives on in us forever, every day of the year that we choose to revisit it. And the power of Imbolc to me is this feeling of arriving. It's kind of an act of acknowledgement, isn't it? Acknowledging who we are. It's tricky though, to define ourselves not who we are in relationship to others, to loved ones, to family and community, but who we are in our wholeness, that which we contain inside this glorious shell which houses our spirit. So that's what I wanted to share about Imbolc. And I want to acknowledge the flame that I see in each of you. For as you acknowledge how special you are, how unique you are, your flame glows brighter and brighter, and I see it, as I know you see the flame in me. We are whole unto ourselves. We are always arriving at a new place of being. And an explanation for the sometimes it seems absence of the gods in this turning of the wheel, because they too are off doing what they do best, being their selves, and therefore teaching us by example. I wish you mirth and reverence. Merry part.